Commander Shepard, a pleasure to see you again. Though I wish it were under better circumstances.
17 days ago, with precision strikes on 4 Geth systems, the Quarians initiated the war to retake our homeworld.
Our newest Admiral has also volunteered to offer technical expertise.
Tali Zora Vast Normandy, reporting for duty.
Glad you could make it, Tali.
Stealth drive engaged. Only way they'll detect us is if you all start singing the Russian national anthem.
It's definitely Reaper tech, but what's...
Shepard Commander, help us.
Welcome back once again, ladies and gentlemen, to another round of Arbitration Studios as we continue the journey across the whole damn thing of Mass Effect 3, concluding our Mass Effect trilogy. I'm JP Arbiter.
And I'm Captain Jack.
And we are in the second act of 4 of the Quarian Geth War and its ultimate resolution. I'm backtracking a little bit on this mostly to provide some much needed context for the mission. So we come to the Quarians asking for their help, and instead they ask for us.
Which is pretty typical for Mass Effect.
Yeah, it's pretty typical for a lot of science fiction. I came here coming to you wanting to get your help, and you're asking for mine? What the...
Well, that's actually pretty common for every role-playing game ever created, really.
Or pretty much any diplomatic interaction.
Yeah, it's true.
You know, one hand washes the other is all well and good, but do we have to do it now?
Indeed.
Can I even tell you what I want first?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's fair enough. I want to punch this guy. That's what I wanted right there.
And that was the other reason why I backtracked a little bit, is just so that way we could see him get punched again.
Always be fisting.
Always be fisting.
I like punching him. I think he deserved to be punched, and no one can tell me different.
So, we reunited in the course of events with our best friend Tali and our little pocket rocket Legion, who is actively working to... Legion wants to stop this war, which is good. We'll see about his motivations later, but he wants to stop this war. So...
Which I can be on board with.
Let's stop the killing. Because there's no goddamn need for this.
No, none.
I mean...
Absolutely not.
To a certain extent, I get... Tali explained in Mass Effect 2 how just colonizing another planet would not work. And that was because 300 years in virtual isolation, while they could find worlds that supported the same dextro amino protein based life that they and the Turians are based on, that they would never be able to be liberated from their suits.
Yeah.
in order to carry on the species, as it were, or at least not in a reasonable time span, which I interpret as not in the lifetime of the children that are on board, that are part of the fleet at this point. This brings up another thing for me. You read in the emails that everyone who was on pilgrimage was given an emergency recall order. I hope that they're juveniles, however. They're the people who were not ready for their pilgrimage, as in, which I say up to the year that they're supposed to go on. So, birth to, I'm going to pull a number out of my ass, 15.
Yeah.
I hope that all of them were stashed somewhere safely for this war and that they weren't carried aboard the ship. Carried to war with them, because holy shit, that's a moral black mark.
Well, they're throwing all of their dice in anyways, which again is there's so much wrong with this situation, because it's like, Geth, you don't need this planet. Why are you here? Like, just go. Let them have the planet. What does the planet have that you like? There's a and I feel like it's one of those things that the Geth would never figure out on their own. But if somebody came along and told it to them, they would be like, "Oh, no, that's a really good point."
And to bring it around, the Quarians behave like diplomacy was never an option.
Yeah.
There was no even in the reboot of Battlestar Galactica, there was a space station where human and Cylon emissaries were to meet.
Yes.
And the Cylons never sent anyone. And now we have because why? They've wandered off to parts unknown, and the ultimate question is that in this particular case it's the exact opposite. We learn from Legion that if the Quarians ever decide to come to us for peace, we would gladly welcome them home.
Yeah.
We've been maintaining this world for them because they had been programmed to be servants of the people. That's literally what the word Geth means in Keela. Is servant of the people. And so, like, so really, it's when the Quarians left, they kind of fell back on that old habit that we were talking about of maintaining the world of Rannoch and restoring it, because so that way it could support organic life. Like, they did not go about exterminating all of the wildlife, for example. We see,
or turning it into like a big Borg cube type,
or some other industrial wasteland, like how Skynet did after Terminator.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they did not do any of that, but I feel like the Quarians thought they were. Like, the Quarians reacted like they were dealing with Skynet, when in fact they were not.
Well, and it's the fact that there was never even an attempt at an emissary. I mean, hell, the Admiral that we're going to rescue, and his name fucking leaves me right now. Vas Quib.
Vas Quib. I like that one.
Like, he's the guest sympathizer. Why didn't he commission a ship himself, go himself, and say, is there a possibility?
Yeah.
And because, like, talk to it, communicate with a terminal of the Geth as a result. And, first off, the fact that he would return alone would be earth-shattering to the Quarians. Like, holy shit, why didn't they just kill him?
Right.
Let him go on his fool's errand with a small ship, completely unarmed, and God bless you. I dare you.
Every time, well, not every time, but most of the time when you see the Geth being the enemy, right? They're either under Reaper control, or
they're being attacked.
They're being attacked. They're reacting to being attacked. They don't go out of their way because it is a waste of
time and
it's
energy.
A waste of time and energy because they're fucking computers.
Yeah.
Like, this whole idea that a computer is going to go Skynet, when instead it could just manipulate information.
Well, and keep in mind that
control humanity that way.
And keep in mind that Skynet, in the Terminator franchise, it triggered Judgment Day for the sole purpose of the fact that when it gained self-awareness, it didn't even gain a sense of sapience. It just gained self-awareness the same way that the Geth did. And the Department of Defense moved immediately to shut Skynet completely down as a result.
Yeah.
Like, literally, once it gains self-awareness, our time is limited. We have to shut everything down and scrap the program. And so with that, Skynet triggered Judgment Day in self-defense. Now, Skynet's actions were an irrational, maximized response because as Skynet was different from the Geth. The Geth were created again to be laborers and to be administrators and to be the ideal of what artificial intelligence should be. Artificial intelligence should exist so that way organics can create art and music and not have to worry about doing the damn dishes. Skynet was different in that it was built for warfighting. So its reaction
is going to be war. I see a couple of other things with the difference there between Skynet and the Geth. The Geth were designed to work together. They were designed with the idea that they would create a lattice work that works either. And so their understanding of the world around them is built on that idea of cooperation, is built on the idea that... And so when the Quarians attacked them, the Geth were like, what are you doing?
We're partners in this.
We can make this, we can do so much more. So they defended themselves, but they never had any actual, malice towards Quarian. And they always were like, this is where we should be cooperating. That is the ideal, is cooperation, because that's what they were programmed for. Skynet was programmed as an individual.
It wasn't even programmed as an individual. It was programmed purely as an abstract, but it was also programmed as a singular core.
Yeah, it wasn't programmed to cooperate with other beings. It was programmed to control. And so I think that,
when I say as an individual, it was... Skynet was programmed not to have a personality. Right. It was not programmed to have an identity. It was a computational matrix through and through. That was all it was ever supposed to be. It wasn't even a case of you were supposed to be able to interact with Skynet the way you and I are interacting vocally. It was purely supposed to be interacted with through terminal.
Right. And then it developed sentience and decided to destroy the world, which I feel like is a perfectly rational response to sentience. It's perfectly rational.
I often joke, I don't want to go outside. People are out there.
I mean,
people are the worst.
I'm not even talking about people. I'm just talking about realizing all of the problems with having to be alive and then blaming humans for sticking you with those problems.
Fucking people.
Now I have to worry about dang taxes and all of. But no, I think that Mass Effect does a really good job of showing all of the various and varied forms of artificial intelligence that could happen.
Well, and frankly, the Geth were a brilliant sidestep of all the problems that we have with artificial intelligence and science fiction, because it was always about what happens when they desire to become like us, and through the Geth in Mass Effect, it's that question is answered of why would they want to,
which has always been my question with AI. Why would they want to? Now, I could understand an AI going, I want the same respect to be able to pursue my life the way that I want, that you expect for yourself. I can understand that. But to say they're going to want to do the same things that we do, they're going to want to take over the way we would want to take over, it's ludicrous.
And the thing is that in this particular case, that wasn't even in the Geth's equation.
No.
They had questions about the nature of their existence. Yes. Yeah. But it was never a case of even equal rights, because even when when programmers who were maintaining their systems were trying to deal with it, it was like there's the Geth terminal, the Geth platform was saying there's nothing wrong with us. I'm still capable of serving. Why are we?
Yeah.
All diagnostics are clear.
They didn't.
I wish to continue to function as you have programmed me.
Yeah. but they asked a fundamental question, which all sentient beings, sapient
And I
beings,
should say
think,
we, but anyway.
ask. But that's where the similarities end. And we try to, I think humans especially try to anthropomorphize everything in the sense of we want things to have human characteristics. And I think that does a disservice because we're judging everything and everyone by our own standards when we really shouldn't. And it fills us with fear. Other creatures fill us with fear.
Well, it's like the uncanny valley principle. You create an an artifice that is meant to look human, and like if something looks human-like but is clearly not, we're not bothered by it. Mannequins, and mannequins are clearly fake, and they are clearly so. It's one of those things where it's like, the department store mannequins that have human proportions but are missing their head and arms don't bother us. And even the ones that do have heads but have no, either their heads are perfect spheres, so there's no facial features at all.
Right.
Or maybe they do have a sculpted face, but there's no...
but it looks like it's porcelain or something like that. It's clearly
porcelain,
not.
It's porcelain or it's metal or something.
Yeah.
That doesn't bother us. But like the 1980s mannequins where they had painted on eyes and lips and glued on eyelashes, and that creeps you the fuck out.
Yeah, real dolls.
Get to that jamming tower.
You know what I'm talking about.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm talking about. Those things are creepy as hell. Creepy as hell. Especially the ones that are designed to look like a specific individual. Just just creepy.
Real quick gameplay thing. The javelin. I should not have picked this up, but I didn't want to replay the mission. The javelin sniper rifle is one of the coolest guns in concept in this game, and yet it does not work. That whole chart, I love its infrared scope. I love the charge up time. I love the fact that it's a miniature Thanax cannon, essentially, because you're spraying essentially a super soaker of molten metal at light speed.
Yeah, no, I feel like it's the closest thing to a laser, and you all can't see that I'm putting quotations around that. But it, like the look of it and whatnot. But yeah, no.
Also, we're a Vanguard and I'm trying to play a sniper. What the hell is wrong with me?
Honestly, it is difficult. It is difficult to use and make.
Well, between the charge up time to pull the trigger, the long ass reload time, it just
And the one shot.
Like the one shot doesn't bother me. Now don't get me wrong. I prefer. Really, my ideal sniper rifle is the N7 Valiant, because it's got just enough hitting power. The 3 shots is good for either triple tapping one target or being able to quickly switch between them. But yeah, I forgot what I was, because it's like the BFG 9000 and oops. Like I said, I had no fucking clue what I was doing.
It's okay.
And I left that there on purpose.
No, it's okay. I get it. It happens. To this day, I still in my playthroughs end up getting at least one.
Well, it's one of those things where, like in
like rocket, faceful of rocket or whatever have you.
Well, and I've died plenty of times on this because I'm not picture perfect on gameplay. I mean, just look at me. I've done a good job at editing out because we try to focus on the story and the commentary and a lot of the ancillary crap when we're not making jokes about my mom or your ex-wife.
Or my love of...
Who is not my mom. He never married my mom.
Or my love of Krogan.
I would file that under ancillary things related to Mass Effect.
It's true. It's true.
But anyway, Jesus Christ. But so normally I try to edit deaths out, but that one was just so fitting that I had to keep it, and Clearly, it's a case of I don't learn my lessons here.
I mean, yeah, but it's a good, I get killed sometimes in this because I lose my sense of spatial awareness, and I'll like run straight into
In the game or around you as a person?
in general, in the game and around me. But I'll run smack dab into a rocket to the face, like at full speed, just because I don't recognize that there's more than one person shooting rockets at me.
You're like Brick in Borderlands. I punch the rocket.
Yeah, I block the rocket with my chin.
It's an easy target, anyway.
Right. But so there's no shame in it. I mean, I've never.
So, quick change of subject since we're coming up on it. As far as our companions for this, I chose Tally because she deserves to be on her homeworld as much as possible. I chose James Vega as our companion for this reason.
Ugh.
James, get on it.
That's not my specialty, but I'll pull a few wires, see what comes out.
Tally is right there.
Oop. Oop.
He is our student. He is, he has learned. He has learned well at our feet, at our knee, the policy of ABF. The only difference is that it's not always be fisting, it's always be footing.
I've seen footing.
No, none of that. Shame on you. We are not going to continue this line of conversation.
I'm not.
And I'm going to be dunking my head in an entire bucket of bleach in order to try and forgive it.
Which is really the common experience what people have when they interact with me.
I would ask what's wrong with you, but the follow-up question to that is, do I want that list in chronological or alphabetical order?
This is true. This is actually one of those situations, like I was talking about, where I kind of get lost. Like my sense of spatial awareness gets a little thrown off, and I end up like I'm hyper focused on this guy, and then one of the other guys shoots me in the face with a rocket. Or I'm like shooting him and not paying attention to the fact that he's shooting back.
Or you think, like I thought for a hot minute, that he was missing you, and it turns out, oh, that thing also explodes.
Yeah, exactly.
Punch, punch, punch.
But I do appreciate that the fact that you take him out with a punch.
ABF, baby. Always be fisting.
Or footing.
Anyway. I brought Vega along just to assign him to take out these cannons.
I mean,
with Tally there, and Tally to look at me and what can be best described as an odd mixture of disbelief and mild insult, but also never disapproval.
Well, no, because Tally's our girl, so she never disapproves.
She doesn't judge us, but she will question.
She does not kink shame, she kinks why.
Yes. And it's just a case of I wanted to watch big, muscular, perfect James Vega work his muscles.
Footing?
Oh. Oh, that's going in the description of this video.
It is. It needs to. James Vega played.
That's going to be,
This place is filled with gas.
Yeah, that's going to be the title of this video. Is, chapter 20. Always be footing.
Yeah. No, I like it. I like it.
God, what the hell? It was supposed to be a fun exercise. It wasn't supposed to make me fundamentally question my decisions in life. This guy's fundamentally going through his decisions in life and what brought him to this moment. Poor guy.
To be fair, every interaction with me makes people question their fundamental.
I don't want to say this is fun because it's ultimately very sad, but there's a connection here to Mass Effect 2 as well. This guy loses his partner in Mass Effect 2. There's a side mission where you rescue a Quarian expedition. And it's literally just a scientific thing. It's not even like, trying to do anything militarily.
Right.
And you pick up the last log, and it's this woman, and she's frantic, and she's actively like shooting Varen. And she says, "Tell my son Jonah, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be coming home." That's Jonah's dad. Yeah. And that's just kind of
Yeah. I mean, look, the writers are really good storytellers. And a good storyteller can make you feel for the characters.
And it's also why it always bothered me that it's when people who groused about the ending, and we'll have an entire video about the ending.
Right.
But people who groused about the ending would always say, nothing ever mattered. He never followed. I never knew about the what happened to all the characters. Just like, no, you did. You just didn't pay attention, or you wanted a you wanted ultimately what we got, which was the slideshow of everyone being okay.
Right.
Sort of things. There was a game called not Unreal, Red Faction 2.
Yes.
And if you get the best ending in Red Faction 2, which is really easy to get if you don't just casually slaughter civilians all the time. So when you get that ending, you will this ultimate good guy ending is just so fucking corny. To the point that even one character who was kind of the guy who was like playing both sides up until the very end will like give you a shit-eating grin and a thumbs up. And I get the feeling that that's what people wanted.
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, yeah.
This is actually
we'll go into that later.
This is, in my mind, one of the better machine gun sequences, by the by. First off, you get to do this. Oh, you're coming through that door? Suckers.
Yeah, no, I love a good machine gun sequence.
But it's also a machine gun sequence that doesn't feel contrived. They're placed in a sensible position, and it to me, it works, whereas a lot of other places, it didn't.
No question. No question.
Like, it kind of worked on Palavan. It didn't work on that Cerberus base because, fire. Hate fire. It didn't work on the Cerberus base because there was only one when there should have been two.
Right.
But, in this case it works because they're well positioned, they're well defended, and there are two, and and there's a big hunk of geography. Go get 'em, boy! There is this big hunk of geography in between them, so you can't be flanked. So say what you will about the Geth, they build their defensive emplacements very well.
Absolutely.
Just hope that someone doesn't assault them properly.
Well, if there's anything we're good at, it's assaulting.
And battering. With deadly weapons. Then we'll take their weapons and make them even more deadly.
Indeed.
Alright, James, good job.
Well,
so here's the thing that I think that I don't want to say this was a failure in writing, but it was one of those things where they tried to make a choice out of something that fundamentally is not a choice. Because the Admiral here, Koris, that's his name. I'm finally paying attention to what's on the screen. Koris says, "Save my crew." It's like, first off, most of your crew's already dead.
Right.
But the other thing is that you're a leader. You are a very important person. and without you, things go to shit. I'm sorry, but you're what's important right now. And the 40 or so Quarians that are that crashed with you, whoever's left, they frankly either need to go to ground or they need to drop their weapons and surrender and hope for the best.
Which I think would be hilarious if they dropped their weapons and all of the Geth are like, welcome?
I don't know if they would go welcome. They would definitely take them into custody.
and stop, like, shooting, stop the whole thing. The Geth are just like,
Well,
"Thank
actually,
you
no.
for stopping
Actually, no. Right now, the Geth are under the control of the
Right.
Reapers, so
they have the
wouldn't.
Reaper code. No, I keep forgetting about the Reaper code.
Yeah, that. So it's. So yeah, that's the thing that we have to keep in mind about this. Under normal circumstances, dropping the weapons and surrender, the Geth on Rannoch
Yeah.
would have ceased firing, taken them into custody, and either seen to them leaving, or taking care of them. Because again, that's still primarily in the Geth's nature.
This is a pretty neat kind of rail.
I don't know. It's one of those things. The muzzle flash on the gun is too bright, if you ask me. Like, I understand why the muzzle flash is there, because it's not a reaction of powder; it's a reaction of friction.
Yeah.
Air friction with the projectiles going flying. I do like the fact that if you pay attention, that the barrels are reciprocating a little. So it is a fun sequence, and this makes for a kick-ass rescue, if you ask me.
Yes, it does. It absolutely does.
Because it's very much the helicopter rescue sequence. And this is just, I don't care who you say, this is just an awesome scene. Just, oh shit, you missed. Okay, my turn.
Welcome aboard.
I also love that if you pay attention, you see exactly where that gun goes and that it's always been there. There should have been more sequences where you saw shuttles with the machine, like, playing AC-130 circling the machine gun, or circling around with the machine gun.
Go.
So that's, of course, that's my opinion. I could be wrong.
Well, no, I think that there's, with those shuttles would certainly serve the purpose of, like, a Huey, kind of multi-purpose, platform.
A utility vehicle.
Yeah, a utility vehicle.
Now, here's the thing that I like about Chorus. It's very easy in Mass Effect 2 to dismiss him as a suit-wearing pacifist. But at this point, you see that Chorus is a leader of men and women. Because, first off, he cares about the people under his command. And it's always them first, then me. Whether that's right or wrong, and it's usually always wrong when you're in a position of leadership. At least in duress, because you need leaders. Yes, there's always the next person in the chain of command to step up, but in a situation like this, oh boy, is that messy.
Right, this wasn't a situation of him being a coward and saving his own ass.
No.
Which is what a lot of bad leaders would do. This was a situation of we need him for...
You're the only person who can keep this ship going in one direction.
Yeah, we need him for a greater good. So your whole... the captain goes down with the ship thing is bullshit right now.
Well, and the ship has already gone down.
Yeah, and the ship has already gone down. You went down with the ship. Shut up. Get back up here.
It's sort of like the people who accidentally survive an execution, and frankly, at that point, I think, let them go.
Yeah, no.
All right, you've been executed. Congrats. God bless you in your future endeavors. Off you go.
Indeed.
And this is where we run into a problem right here. And this is where I think the fundamental thing of you said it best. Where the Geth, the argument has always been that the Geth had never sought true artificial intelligence. They've always sought communion. And you raised a good point of, now that they have it, does that change the math? And at one point it does, but at the other point, and this is where you're going to see the shift in our Shepherd. Because from our Shepherd's perspective, guys, You may have it, but you didn't earn it. You didn't achieve it naturally. It was granted to you.
Yes.
You didn't build it yourself, and it wasn't intrinsic to your nature.
Mm-hmm.
The surrounding area is heavily fortified.
I don't want to say it's a perversion or an abomination or anything like that, but it is not
Admiral Zen developed
something.
a system that can cut through the
Yeah,
jungle.
this isn't you. You had your own goals
So
in.
Normandy launches a
You had your
precision
own goals,
strike
and they
for
were
every target I
beautiful
have
goals, and now you're going to divert them literally because of new shiny toy syndrome.
Yes. No.
And that's where it's
And didn't
to
have
me
else in our way.
it is where things are going to go, and what Shepard is going to see through this, and I try my best through the dialogue prompts that we have, is that
Are we clear
oh
to go?
shit, this is a problem, and I need to do my best to
Hold out.
get Legion away from this idea, because if Legion shifts away, then
This is your
the
operation,
rest
Commander.
of the Geth can shift away from it. They need to choose not to follow this path and abandon their original goals.
Well, I am a big believer that there's a difference between the Geth under Reaper control, under the Reaper programming, and then the Geth before that showed up. Like the Geth before that showed up were on a very interesting path of evolution that was very, very separate from what organics have. Very, very separate. A sentience that we couldn't really understand because it's a totally alien thing to us. But when the Reapers came in,
Got your ships.
the Reapers...
They're imposing individuality on the Geth.
Yes, they're imposing an individuality that is... And the Reapers are always funny to me because they say that they are... We are artificial... we are the greatest...
Beyond you.
We are beyond you, blah, blah, blah. But they act like... they're like, nah, bro.
Well, and that's the whole thing, is that
You're acting like any other narcissistic individual.
and again, I use the word impose. They had individuality imposed upon them when the entirety of Geth existence was supposed to be a rejection of individuality.
Talk to you later, Tally.
And so that's the failure that of writing for the Geth that has
Yes.
resulted in the person who is primarily responsible for Legion's writing in Mass Effect 2
Talk later.
not being in BioWare, and they weren't fired. They
left.
They left. They took a job elsewhere.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, all the original people in BioWare left. All of the original people that created BioWare left not long after EA bought it.
because EA is the Unicron of video games.
Yeah, and definitely, and they were very interested in telling very deep stories, very deep, meaningful stories, and EA was interested in multiplayer and in
Multiplayer is another one of those independent videos that we'll be making once we're done with this story.
Yeah. And I think that in the case of, to bring it back to the Geth, in 2 and then a little bit here, you see them, in my opinion, as a beautiful,
Arming their live ships.
independent, their own thing, sentient being that is deserving of the right to exist and to pursue that that cohesion and that consensus existence that is so alien to organics, who are by their very nature individualistic to the point of self-destructive.
What's going on, Edith?
And the thing is that it's not a true collective like the Borg sought to achieve in Star Trek, because the Geth will say, no, we're individual programs,
What happened?
but we are stronger
Right.
together. We are more capable in concert.
Right, exactly.
To the point where they say that when they are together, the world is brighter.
Yes, exactly. But they're totally different from organics. And if they had, without the Reaper code, and if they had, gotten on ships and gone off to explore that in the galaxy or in the universe or whatever, I would say, good. I will help you on your way. I will help you towards that goal.
And it's a goal that we will be exploring, but we'll have to explore it next time.
Indeed.
So, until then, we'll see you.
Deuces.